It is time now for a look back at our top stories of the week. For years, we've been telling you about private building inspectors and how they can allow hidden dangers in your home construction projects. Well, the issue is front and center again, this time with the federal indictment of Randy Farrell, the owner of the largest private building inspection company in Louisiana. Our David Hammer dives deep into the problems homeowners are left to deal with.
Dr. Christopher Marrero and his wife Shannon worked hard to build their dream home on the New Orleans lakefront.
After speaking with several people, we decided to tear down the home we were in and build a brand new one.
But they say it was far from what they dreamed, or even what was on the architectural plans.
You know, the plans call for hardy board on the soffits, and it's done in vinyl. The garbage disposal wasn't connected, ventless fireplace, and the chimney was never built.
Most disputes between homeowners and contractors are nothing newsworthy. Homeowners sue alleging shoddy work. Contractors file liens claiming non-payment. But usually, both sides can count on local government inspectors to be there, at least catching any safety violations. Not in the Marrero's case.
There was questions as to whether the venting of the some of the fans in some of the bathrooms were done properly. There's one in one water closet that has a fan vent. It goes into the attic, and that's where it terminates, in the attic. Does not connect to the outside.
The inspector even took a picture of a gas valve inside a fireplace and signed off on it as safe and up to code. So once it's on and that thing's on fire, how do you turn it off?
Only you'd have to reach back in there somehow.
Into the fire?
Into the fire. What
Marrero didn't realize until it was too late is that his contractor had hired a third-party inspector to check the safety of his work. A third-party inspector from IECI and Associates. Our Hidden Dangers investigation in 2021 found third-party inspectors hired by contractors handle a majority of residential inspections in the New Orleans area, and almost all of those inspectors work for IECI. Since then, 4 current or former IECI inspectors have been charged with felonies for allegedly falsifying building permits or inspections. 2 of them have already gone to prison for those crimes. And now IECI and its owner, Randy Farrell, have been charged with bribing New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell and other city officials, allegedly so they could keep a fake inspection scheme going for years.
The egregious things that we found on our property, and some of which were dangerous, that were clear violations of code, were just glossed over and given the okay by this same company.
And yet, IECI continues to do inspections across the area. Farrell is still a certified building official with the Construction Code Council. Lindsay Satterley tore down her childhood home in Metairie to build her dream house.
Basically just turned into a nightmare at this point.
She hired the same contractor the Marreros did, Creative Builders.
And we started to notice several problems with the roof, windows on the front of the house, the stucco was the wrong color, lots of big problems. So this is completely sideways. So it's not even flat like it should be. So when we try to put sheetrock, there's no way to sheetrock this.
Right. The contractor's attorney alleges the Satterleys violated their contract by locking Creative Builders out midway through the project in December 2022. In July 2023, Jefferson Parish sent its own code inspector to review the work. What he found went way beyond aesthetics. Missing rafter supports, ceiling joists running the wrong way, sagging beams.
To fix and correct the deficiencies, we are getting estimates between $700,000 and $825,000. We've already paid almost $650,000 into the house.
Like at the Marrero house, work at the Satterleys' home was approved by IECI. Federal prosecutors allege IECI created hundreds of allegedly fraudulent inspection reports, and that, Marrero says, has real consequences for real people.
The victims turn out to be the homeowners who get stuck with something that's either unusable or unsafe.
Embattled St. Tammany coroner Dr. Christopher Tape will remain in office as the effort to recall him has failed. The organization working to get him out didn't get enough signatures to put the recall on the upcoming ballot. Now, the first signatures were gathered after a WWL Louisiana investigation revealed child sexual assault claims against Tape. Our Alyssa Curtis has more on the effort.
Recently elected St. Tammany Coroner Dr. Christopher Tape will remain in office despite an effort to remove him. After an investigation by WWL Louisiana into Tape revealed decades-old child sexual assault claims.
You're an elected official. Come on. Let's just talk.
Calls for Tape's resignation started flooding in. The 2002 indictment was thrown out based on a technicality. But that, coupled with Tape's intention when he first took office to get rid of the sexual assault nurse examiner program, angered many.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. The fire's already been started.
But Friday, we learned they did not receive enough signatures to trigger the recall. In a statement to WWL Louisiana, Family First St. Tammany, the group spearheading the effort, said in part, quote, "We want to express our deepest gratitude to the brave survivors who shared their painful stories at our events. Your voices are the heart of this movement, and we remain committed to advocating for a future where all survivors are treated with the dignity and respect you were denied." The group had to collect upwards of 38,000 signatures. It's unclear how many they were able to collect. But organizations that supported the effort, like the St. Tammany Chamber PAC, say they knew the Herculean effort ahead of them.
Obviously, disappointed, but I think everybody, who's in the Chamber PAC, I think we are all realistic about the inherent challenges of getting a recall.
Tape, on the other hand, is seemingly quite happy. In a statement to WWL Louisiana, Tape said, quote, "I'm certainly glad it's over, but I have never allowed it to be a distraction from doing the good work of this office. We will continue to prioritize serving the families of our parish and spending taxpayer money wisely and transparently." Now looking ahead, the Chamber PAC is urging everyone to vote.
I mean, if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it for you, and it may not be the result you want.
As Tape ran unopposed, they want residents to have a say in who is in office. Alyssa Curtis, WWL Louisiana.
Employees have used the words prison and slavery to describe what it's like to work for the New Orleans Department of Public Works. The comparisons come as allegations of abuse, mistreatment, and harassment against employees have been unveiled. Now investigations are underway as council members hope to correct the behavior. Our Alyssa Curtis explains the allegations.
And the supervisors now took the grievance and shredded it.
Incident.
We definitely want to make sure everybody's treated the same, as long as everybody's acting the same.
After incident of alleged years-long mistreatment of city workers was on full display Wednesday at City Council. We blurred the video because we have not reached the people in the video for comment.
Their job is a hard, back-breaking job normally, but the amount of emotional and verbal abuse that they were receiving, and this wasn't hearsay, they literally had the receipts.
Unionized employees from the New Orleans Department of Public Works described what's been called by Council Vice President J.P. Morrell breathtakingly bad treatment from their supervisors.
The abuse that the supervisors give us over there is ridiculous. It's like they handle us like if we slaves or like if we in a jail.
Several employees explain instances of unsafe working conditions. They say there's no proper training of new hires, which they say is against the guidelines.
Always that I've been working here this many years, you know how to work the vac truck, show him, and he show him, and he show him.
But employees say when grievances were filed, they were ripped up or never addressed.
So you've been reporting this regularly to your supervisors at DPW for up to 3 to 4 years?
Yeah.
Plus, employees say supervisors are cursing at them.
Opened her driver door and was like, "Didn't I told you stupid?" Didn't say anything, wrote him up.
At least one instance was even caught on camera.
If I did call her a fat, a stupid, or whatever, then that was between me and you.
But that just scratches the surface. There's also allegations of wage theft, retaliation, unregulated discipline, and more. Council Vice President Morrell.
Is this what working for DPW is like?
Yes.
Says this shouldn't be the culture.
When you don't have a consistent leader, middle management runs rampant.
The city has opened an investigation into these claims. I reached out to the mayor's office hoping to hear from her, DPW Director Rick Hathaway, or Chief Administrator Gilbert Montano, who is conducting the investigation. They said no one can comment at this point because it's an open investigation, but they say it will be a thorough one. Reporting at City Hall, Alyssa Curtis, WWL Louisiana.
After more than 80 years, a Nazi-looted painting is back in the hands of its rightful owners. The FBI in New Orleans investigated the case after a tip. that stolen artwork was up for sale. Our Paul Murphy shows us how agents presented the priceless painting to the owner's granddaughters.
This is a case that stretched from Europe to New York and finally to New Orleans. The FBI field office here started investigating the rightful owner of the stolen artwork last June. The misty blue-gray drawing by French impressionist Claude Monet, entitled Bord de Mer, Seaside, was plundered by the Nazis during World War II. As one speaker said today, the decades-long mystery of what happened to this piece of artwork belies the tranquil image of the Normandy coast depicted in the painting. Today, the FBI presented the 1865 pastel on paper to family members of its original owners. It was stolen from the Pelargi family from Vienna, Austria in 1940 and auctioned off by the Germans a year later. After the war, the Pelargis searched high and low for the painting, but until it resurfaced at a New Orleans auction house, its whereabouts was unknown. It was last owned by Dr. Kevin and Bridget Schlemp from the Lake Charles area. The Schlemps voluntarily waived their rights to the painting when they were informed it was looted by the Nazis. Today, federal authorities returned the painting to the Pelargi heirs.
Reunion with its rightful owners is really one of vision, creation, impressionism, war, immigration, unjust law, pillage, mystery, patience, perseverance, discovery, and ultimately triumphant return.
It's not its value at all. It's the way we feel, the bond with our family and the historical, background of the painting. And reunited with our family's past.
And the Pelargi granddaughters told us they are now looking for an appropriate place to display the Monet. One told us she plans to get a copy made so she could hang it in her home as a reminder of her grandfather. Paul Murphy, WWL, Louisiana.
Here in Louisiana, we love our oysters, and for one man, shucking them is more than just his way of life. It is a competitive sport. Our Alyssa Curtis introduces us to a local master oyster shucker who is on his way to hopefully win another national championship.
At Superior Seafood, it's in the name.
Day on average about 2,000.
And for the restaurant's master shucker, Jay Gillette, it's in his DNA.
I started as a young boy. My father, he owned oyster beds and oyster boats. So we started going 5 years old. Probably opened my first oyster when I was 7 years old on the oyster boat with a hatchet.
After years of shucking for the Bayou-born Gillette,
It's the way of life. That's just how we live down there in the bayou.
it makes him happier than a clam, or I guess I should say oyster.
I love doing this. It's almost as if it's therapy to me. It's my quiet place.
While most of the time you'll find him behind the oyster bar on St. Charles, sometimes you can catch him going for the gold. While Gillette says he started competing late in his career, he's won several first-place medals.
National level, you need to be able to open 2 dozen, fairly clean, with minimal penalties, 2 minutes or less. The bar over the past 5-10 years has gone real high.
Not only are the judges looking for the fastest shucker, but he says they're also looking for the best technique.
Completely severed from the shell. It's not stuck to the oyster shell. You don't have a poke in the belly and the oyster's not ripped. And another thing would be grit or shell or mud.
And he's got it.
My unofficial best time ever was 2 dozen in 1:32 seconds, which is pretty insane. And they were fairly clean. Competition, the year that I won was 1:46 seconds shuck time, and I think an overall time of 2:13.
Soon he'll head to Maryland to compete in the national competition.
If I get past the men's, I'm going to win the final one for sure.
And if or when he wins, he'll head to Ireland. But before he heads off, we had to get a lesson.
Okay. Oh, got it. Okay.
Well, let's just say we'll leave it to the master. Alyssa Curtis, WWL Louisiana.